and welcome to the SSF Rumcast. We are on episode 3 this week. I am, as always, Jessica Haynes, and I am joined by my contrary little bitch, self-proclaimed, nothing to do with me.
Yes, it's Emma Jackson, and that is my full title. Yes.
Yes, we're
I'm
going to be
sure you've
putting that
given
in
me
books.
other nicer titles in the past, like
You just
to do
couldn't
with
think of
spreadsheets
one.
and stuff like that, but that's that's the most honest one.
Yeah, I'm just going to sign that in all the things I give you now.
Yes,
To the,
contrary little bitch, reporting for duty.
but yeah,
So
so
yes.
yeah, we are here, episode 3, and we are on one that's one of your tropes this week.
Is it? Is it one of mine? I didn't realize it was one of mine. Is it one of
No, well,
mine?
this is more you than me. I think if there was a scale
Maybe
of
it
who
used
likes
to
this
be, but I changed
more,
my mind.
if there was a scale of who enjoys this one more, I think you would be ding 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 ding.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's friends to lovers. We did mention it at the end of last week, didn't we? Because I
Yes.
talked about Radiance and how I haven't included it this week. I
No,
think it's
but
going
we
to be
could
interesting. I think, yeah, oh dear. Was it not fun for you, Jess?
have. No, it was, and I found some books that I've really enjoyed,
Okay.
but the books I've picked have things in that I just need to be careful how they are said.
Oh, very intriguing.
Mm.
Okay, right.
But that really enjoyed, and they need to be written, and these things need to be out in the world. But it
Mm.
could lead to many conversations. But
Yeah, I think we're gonna have like that's going to be interesting then. I've got like it's been quite thought-provoking, like
mm,
the different areas of the trope and what classes and what doesn't class and what it means, how it drives the story is quite interesting with this trope, I think.
well, yeah, I found a lot that sort of fell into one group, and I'm like, okay, I can't keep having the same things as
This is
this.
it.
So
Yeah. Do I mix it up and have something different or
mm,
not? Okay.
we shall
Well,
see.
let's get started then.
We shall.
Okay,
All right.
we should
Are you
start.
going first? Do you want to go first? Do you want to go second? Can't go
Um,
third.
I can go first if you like, because I've made you go first the last couple of times, haven't I?
It's fine.
We went it was like a rolling start then. You get those
Ooh.
in Grand Prix. You're not made to watch Grand Prix, are you? Normally we're like, stop. Oh, we're gonna start recording now, but we just
We
smoothed
just
into it from
slide in.
our chatter in the
Mm,
intermission. Okay, so my first one is The Golden Griffin and the Bear Prince by Jeffe Kennedy. Right, we had
yes.
to look up how to
We
say
did
that
look up,
because
and she has confirmed.
yes, that's it. Okay, so I picked this one because I found, I don't know about you, but Friends to Lovers tends to lean more towards kind of contemporary paranormal type stuff.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
has
tend to
more
get
of
like
that
a cozy
cozy feel. Yes, that's the
cozier
word in my
vibe.
head. Hmm.
Yes, which I think is why you were saying it might be more my arena
Yeah,
than
yeah, more that view.
yours.
There's no darkness, there's no thunder or lightning and dead
Mm.
people at the beginning.
Or is
As
there
much as. If there was,
as
that would
much
be
as?
interesting.
Well, because as well, like this was the thing with why I didn't talk about radiance in this one, but I am gonna skirt over in another one of my books. The whole thing about do they need to be friends from the get-go or can they make friends
Mm.
and then become lovers? But we'll see. So this
Well,
one.
whichever way you go, that will be one of my books, and that might be another of my books. So we're
Exactly. This
going
is
for all
it.
today.
So I've kind of got four, but I'm going to talk about but I'm going to talk about two of what the last three quite quickly, hopefully, when I eventually start talking about the first one as well. So to make up for the very the very ordinary way that I went about reading the books for the last episode. It was very weird of me in that I read the first book and then I had to read every other book in the series to get to the one that I wanted to get to. I don't do that. I jump around. I don't read series in order. So what I did with this one is I'm reading a whole series which is an offshoot from another series I haven't read.
Okay.
So I think the idea is that there was a whole war like rebellion thing that happened, and those characters um are now a bit older, and this is like the next generation, so this is where it's
Star
starting.
Trek. Mhm.
And you've got Asta and Zephyr. So I could have used this one. You know, we were talking about how so many of the books you read, once you've found them for the trope and you move on, then suddenly you're reading other books that could have fit in that trope too.
So well.
It could have been found family with this one because there's quite a big group, but they're also actually family, some of them. So it's a bit like cousins and stuff.
Hmm.
So they're like the younger generation. Um, Asta is the heir to the high throne. He's the nephew of the High Queen, and he's known since like he was born that he's going to be the heir, and it weighs very heavily on him, this responsibility, and you know what he has to live a very honorable life, and he tries very, very hard to do that. Zephyr is the daughter of obviously a couple that featured in this previous series as well. And she is they're both shapeshifters, but there's this race that's called the Tala, and it's very interesting the way this one deals with shapeshifting, because it seems to be a gift from a goddess that goes down certain lines. And I think the war in the previous books was based around this. They were kind of persecuted and not, not accepted. And now it's out in society, but there's still prejudice against it.
Okay.
But they live very differently than their wild natures, and they have things that are like their first form, which is the one they go into more easily. And some can take many different forms of animals, and others, um, and it's not just animals as well. It's like it's very, very interesting. It's like they have a cache. They can cache things like outfits and clothes, and they can, if they move in and out of their forms, sometimes it can heal them. So it's kind of dimensional. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't know
Mhm.
how much was covered in the previous series, and more stuff happens towards the end of it. But they've known each other since they were kids. Asta also shapeshifts, like I said, but he's only got one form. He's a bear, the bear prince.
The bear.
Um, and she's always on at him to say, like, if you let yourself go a little bit more, you could do more. He's like, no, I could just do the bear. The bear's enough. And he has to like not make people as aware that he has this side to him. It's kind of, he can do it. It's not a secret, but it's not also shoved in people's faces.
Okay.
And Zephyr is her first form is extremely rare because she's a Gryphon, which are seen as kind of a monster. And they've known each other their whole lives, and there's always been an attraction there. But there's also always been this thing that's known in that she thinks she would never be accepted as queen. And, he's kind of agreed. This is like she wouldn't be a suitable queen because she's not seen as having those qualities of, level-headedness and stuff. She wants to be wild and free and do what she wants. Um, but that's why they're like a good balance for each other, basically. But I really enjoyed the aspect of the friends to lovers in this one because it was very obvious that they wanted more. They're friends as part of this friend group. There's about seven of them. Some of them are cousins. Like there's one group of cousins, then another group of cousins, and this other guy who I want to read the second book for because he's brilliant and he's just on his own. He's like a
Oh,
normal
bless.
person, and he's keeping up with all of the
Yeah, just
others.
just one in
He's
the
the best,
back.
but he's good with his daggers and stuff, and he's a pirate. And
I was like, what's the one called in Deadpool? Peter. He's just like, hi, I'm Peter.
oh, I've gone out of focus. Hang on, there we
There
go.
we go.
And come back.
There you go.
Um, Yeah, so it's like it's very open that they've been attracted to each other, and but he's having to hold back because he knows that if he let himself have a relationship with her, a romantic relationship with her, he would fall too hard. Like
Oh,
he knows that about himself, and then he knows he would not be able to marry her either, and that she'd never want it because part of the Tala is also that they're not, they don't tend to be monogamous. They don't really believe in marriage in the same way. And yet, sometimes, depending on the animals that they might lean towards, there's
Mm,
that mated
for life.
mindness that
Yeah.
comes through. So there's this festival of, like, I think it's the crystalline moon or something. It's a astrological thing that's happened, and there's a big celebration, and I think there's a prequel novella to it which inspired this. I think it was part of an anthology with like Grace Draven and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, not read it, of course, I'm going back to my old ways. Um, but there's it kicks off this like problem, and there's a lot of premonitions that happen, and there's this sighting of this massive being that kind of eclipses the moon, which shouldn't, there should be nothing that's capable of doing that. And the High Queen and her sister and one of the other like queens of one of the other kingdoms, they call them all in this group, and they're like, you're involved. We have to send you off on this quest to discover what's going on. We think there's like a magical rift. You got to go to these places. And also, part of your cover story is going to be like you're going to be meeting some of these noble women who could potentially be your brides,
Mm.
Asta, you know.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So so Zephyr's gone to him, like, she's been very aggressive in her pursuit of him, and she thought like tonight was going to be the night. She'd written him a
Mm.
note, and but he just, it was in his pocket. He didn't even look at it. He was like, I cannot have the temptation. He's given it back to her, and he said
Oh.
like, yes, I do want you. You know that I want you, but not more than my responsibilities that I have to, not to compromise my responsibilities. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, and she seems like she's carefree, but that
Mm.
hurts her, you know?
Does it do? That hurts me.
Yeah, it was pretty harsh. And then, but obviously they're stuck on this quest together, and off they go. And then they come to like this first problem, and there's like this magical beast that's attacking the town, and they all go in to fight it and stuff. And she ends up being at like death's door, and the only like the only thing he can think to say to her is like, fine, you can have me for a night to do with as you wish. And, but you have to live. So and she's like, all right, I'm better. No, not really. She has to be healed and stuff, but it does give her that
Yeah,
like
cha-ching.
gets into her. And he's been like so like saving himself for his wife and everything. So he's a virgin hero, and she's
Oh,
the one that's experienced, and it's like it's fun and interesting. And then obviously they, then they become the lovers. But do they go back to
mm.
be? How can they go back to being friends? Do they? Of course they
After,
don't go back
yeah.
to being friends. But yeah, it was. I found it interesting because of them being so upfront. Like normally with friends to lovers, it's one or both parties like repressing their attraction, isn't it? And the fact they were both like, yes, obviously we both want each other, but we can't. And yet they're still friends. They
Yeah.
were still in the same group. And it was like just skirting that line of, well, is she being a bit too aggressive considering he's saying, I just can't go there. I don't want to do this. But he's still giving her signs that
Yeah.
he does want to, really. But then that gets a bit
Yeah.
icky, doesn't it? It can be. You're
Sudden death
saying no,
does.
but you mean yes, but
Yeah.
no.
Well, this is it. It's all there's a lot of tragedy in it for me. I think maybe that's
Yeah,
why, because it's kind of like, do you jeopardize these friendships that you've got for
yeah,
something that could just be a one night thing, and then you
yeah.
come away the next morning, it's like, okay, where do you go now?
Hmm.
That's so harsh for me. And it's like, if they start despising each other, then I can work with
Yeah.
that. So it's a,
If they
yeah,
start off that way.
yeah, then
No,
I'm
I
all
see what
right.
you mean. It's like there's so much risk involved because they have this friendship, but then like, yeah, I don't know. Is it? it's always going to end in doom and misery if you don't say anything. So at least there's like closure if they
Yeah.
go there and then they come away. But yeah, so that was my first one.
Okay. Oh, I like it. And you've got two series that I can add to a list. That my
I
list
think there's
isn't
even
big
more than
enough.
that. There
Of
seems to
course.
be like three or something different series that like feed in because it's like this whole kingdom. It's just so much world building and characters. How do people their
Their
keep
brain
up with
working.
that? And yeah,
I
I'm in
I
awe of
wonder.
that, really.
Yeah, I wonder how many writers have written a novella and gone, oh, this will just be a quick few hundred
Yeah,
words, and then an entire series has just come from these characters.
this is it.
Love it.
Yeah,
Just
just
always
trying to get the
admired.
novella written, really. It'd be fine.
Yeah, once that starts, then I'm
Yeah.
fine. All right. So my first book is Serpent's Touch by Marina Simcoe.
Mhm.
And yeah, I like this one. This was kind of going to be one of my back
I like this
ones.
one, not the other two, just
No, the
this
other
one.
ones hate them. No, I like this. This stood out for me because of the creature in it first and foremost. I've not seen many of them, and then just how it came about. So we have Amira, who is. I seem to have a lot of orphans in my books at the minute, and I don't know why, but sorry, there is
That was
another
like
orphan
me
here.
last season with all of the stuff happening to kids being
Yeah,
abducted and
all the poor
dying and stuff.
children. Somebody
It was all the
think of
poor
the
children.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of orphans. And she works at a place called Madame Tam's Menagerie. So Madame Tam's Menagerie is, I'm not going to say that again. I'm so
Yeah.
surprised that came out. Um, it is like a traveling circus. So there are people who do tricks and big tent and yeah, goes around the world
Mm.
doing these shows for people. So Amira is an orphan and she's the only human within this place. She knows nothing about her history. She was picked up as the circus traveled in a war-torn country between the ages of 3 to 6, because the chap who found her, whose name is Radix, he doesn't know humans. He's got no idea. So he found this child and just carried it along. He felt bad. He lost his sister many years ago, so found this little girl and just brought her in. So she knows nothing about her history. She knows nothing about her life, where she came from. Just yeah, it's a blank slate. But Madame Tam is not a pleasant person because everybody within the circus, unbeknown to Amira, isn't there because they choose to be. She
Mm.
keeps them there through various nefarious reasons and ways. And Amira, bless her, she doesn't have a good time of it either because she doesn't know anything else. She basically works, feeds, cleans, does everything for Madame Tam. And that is her life. She doesn't know about what TV shows. She doesn't know about anything. If there's a hoodie left after a show, that's what she wears. So that is her life. If when she's tired, she tries to find the quietest, most secluded place to just lie
Mm.
down and hide away. Because if she doesn't, Madame Tam can come for her. And yeah,
Mm.
it's just not a pleasant life she's got, but it's all she's ever known. So there are a group of people who are called the Brack, who are they're a group of these beings who have kind of given their soul to Madame Tam. So they are all kind of slaves to her. So they've got these bands around their neck and they run around and do for her, which is what Radix is. So if Amira does something wrong, Radix can bear the brunt of it as well. So it's just an awful life she's got, bless her.
Yeah.
So one day when she's hiding away, having a bit of food, she's next to a crate and she's in the back corner and she hears Madame Tam and these bracks come in and they open the crate and she's kind of trying to see what's going on, but all she can see is a mirror. And she's like, okay, that's a bit weird. But they open the crate and this being is within the crate and he's got a hood on and they don't know a huge amount about what's going on, but he starts to speak and basically you find out this chap is a Gorgon and he has been kidnapped to be in the circus,
Mm-hmm.
but he will not have any part of it. He was taken while swimming with his brother. He tried to protect his brother, swam into the net, and that's it. He said, yeah, yeah, I'm not doing anything that you want. You kill me or not.
Yeah.
So that is basically where he's at. So Madame Tam is pursuing this. She said, fine, I will kill you. You need water to survive. You will get nothing from me until you either lie dead on the floor or you decide to perform, but you will perform for me because she gets away and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amira finds this kinship with this chap because one day she's out and Madame Tam just she needs a hair doing and she like we were talking about earlier, she smacks her with a brush so hard she breaks her fingers.
Oh
Not that that
no.
happened to us,
We
but
didn't know.
that's
No,
that
we weren't
wasn't the
talking
lengths
about
we
doing
went
that. No,
to.
no. It didn't
Just
happen to
brushing,
me. I haven't
yeah,
done it to anyone
just
either.
brushing children's hair
Just
generally.
yeah.
So she breaks her fingers, so she runs and hides in a little corner. And
Mm,
this voice comes out of this box asking if she's okay. What's going on? Are you okay? I can hear you crying. I can smell the water. Are you okay? And it's the first anything she's had from anyone really.
yeah.
Affection, attention,
Oh.
sympathy.
Hmm.
And yeah, she kind of goes away and hides, but she thinks about it for a long time. And sort of over time, she kind of keeps going back. It's always in her head. So she goes back one day and she's like, okay, I heard that you can't have water. So she takes him a cucumber because it's the
We
only
know,
thing.
yeah.
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 Well, we don't know what he does. Yeah. So it's the only thing she can think that will give him water, but can disappear. So if the crate is opened again, she won't be found out. And slowly but surely, they kind of this friendship starts to grow between this the walls of this crate.
Okay.
And his name is Kellum. And
Hmm.
yeah, so he's got snakes for hair. He turns people to stone.
Right.
And yeah, this I've never
Hmm.
seen many that do that in books. It was kind of
No. There was in Wednesday they have one, don't they, in the series?
yes,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
wench, isn't she?
No,
Oh,
the it's a
is it
boy.
not the girl?
Yeah. The
It's been
one
a
who
long
goes
time
out
since I watched
with
it.
what's her roommate called? Is it Edie? Edith? I can't remember.
Wolf girl.
Yeah,
Oh
Wolf
yeah,
Girl.
it's been a while since I watched it.
Hmm.
Yeah, where was I? Yeah. So you think because he's kind of like got a stony exterior, so if he doesn't
Yeah.
have water, he dries up. So that goes to gargoyle for me,
Right.
which is a
Yeah.
lot of
I
things
was
now.
gonna
But yeah,
say it's gargoyle, isn't it?
of course it is. But
Everything, even if
stone
they're not
creature,
called
yeah,
gargoyle, they
that's
are
what they are. Of
gargoyle.
course they are. So yeah, so even if she could get in and open the cage, she's got no way to look at him and do anything.
Mm. Oh,
But yeah,
right.
over time, this friendship grows, and she's very naive, bless her. She doesn't know anything. So she keeps going back and doing a bit more. She finds a way to get him water. She kind of creates him a straw to drink out of these water baskets and gives him dinner. And he's there to manipulate her because he knows if he can't get out, then that's it, he's dead.
Yeah.
But over time, it kind of he starts to implant things in her head about, is everybody here? Why is everybody here? And she starts to suddenly realize that everybody is there because
Right.
they don't want to be there. That's
Hmm.
the only way they're there is they're forced, and that is because Madame Tam goes away. They're just coming over to England. Don't do this in the UK, people. Don't do it anywhere. Don't have people. It's wrong. They're coming over to England, so Madame Tam is having to go over on a plane first to set it all up, and they leave them in charge. And she's got to feed this wolf creature they've got. So she's got this meat to give to this dude, and it's covered in powder, and she's trying to rub this powder in and ends up dropping it into his bowl of water, and it washes all this powder off. So
Oh,
she
wow.
gives him the meat, and then this wolf dude, turns into an actual dude, and she's like, "Oh
Wow.
my God, what the?" And yeah, he kind of spells it all out that you
Oh,
remember the
wow.
merman who was here? Where's he gone? He escaped. Do you remember this
Yeah.
person? You need to help me get out. And
Sorry. It just made me think of the Julia Donaldson book, The Singing Mermaid. Did you ever read that one to the kids? Is that
probably
how
at
he
some
got
point,
out? Oh, he learned how to do the
oh,
handstand.
walking on his hands.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't give
Sorry.
details of his escape, but we'll keep that in
Yeah,
there.
because they keep her
But
in a cage in the
really
story too.
fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wasn't found out. But yeah,
Mm.
she slowly starts to learn that these people aren't wanting to be there. So she gets it in
Hmm.
her head she has to release Kellen. And
Yeah.
he's there, obviously, he's wanting for it. But over
Yeah.
time, rather than just this puppet to be manipulated, he leans into this vulnerability
Yeah.
and he wants to protect her and he wants to help her. And I just like the fact that they've never seen each other and this just really massive bond grows between them
Wow. Yeah, I can see
through
why. So you managed to find a friends to lovers that was also kind of like an enemies to lovers because he's using her and
He's using
manipulating
her.
her, and there's lies between them. And also a bit like your favorite with letters, in that they can't see each other and they get to
No.
know each other. That's so cool though. So
You
it's not
see
a
why
trope
I
you
moved
enjoy,
it?
but you manage, like, you find the kind of
I
things within
found the
it.
book that
Like,
fits.
yeah, that's
And that
awesome.
there's people that get turned to stone and then they just
Yeah.
poof into thin air. And
Gargoyles. Yeah.
yeah. And this he can manipulate things. He makes a little brooch that he manages to push. He brings in bits of metal to sort of work with
Hmm.
because that's what his people do. And they can distort like electrical currents and stuff.
Yeah.
And he makes this little brooch and then he presses it through the thing and she wears it with such pride. And then she thinks she's going to get caught and that she shouldn't be doing this. So she throws it in the bin and it's like, oh,
Oh.
I'm turning into a person that's actually human. What's going
You've
on?
always been human.
Oh, but
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah, there's escape and then what comes next. So I'll stop it there. But yeah,
Okay.
it was very
So
different to the other ones I had.
yeah. So that that's a really interesting twist on it, isn't it? Because they become friends because he's trying to create a bond with her that
Yes.
isn't real. Yeah.
Yeah, the necessity rather than just the friendship being there. So
Yeah, there's like a long journey, and friendship
oh.
is like one of the stops along the way, kind
Yeah,
of
this is
thing.
it. And it kind of then goes to the next level. And then there's this was the
Yeah.
first book in a few. I don't no, no, I don't read the second one because of all the other books. But yeah, then there is another dimension of where these
Okay.
beings obviously come
Mm-hmm.
from, and that there's
Yeah.
loads of other stuff that goes on with there with timings of how things work and who Madame Tam was, and yeah, but that's story for another day, children.
Yeah. Well, because so one of the ones I was gonna talk about, but I'm just gonna talk about really briefly. Yeah, I say, um, was it's a Ruby Dixon one because we've covered a lot of Ruby Dixon.
Always.
But it's like the Rizdaverse is like my comfort read. It's my go-to for just getting out of reading slumps. If I want something guaranteed to hit all the right spots, I will go to Rizdaverse. I don't know. I just love them.
When
And
she was
when
in need of a book to read,
yeah,
she
yeah,
goes to
there should be
reading.
one called that. When she was in a reading slump. It probably will be one day. She'll get there.
Seriously, can
She
we
will
just
get there.
email her and ask her, please?
Yeah, please. Maybe that's what she does. Maybe she just asks, and if everyone says
Yeah.
when she really
When she was,
needed a chocolate bar, it's like, here we
there's
go.
a blue chap or a cat-like dude who's come to help.
Yeah, that's it. This one is when she's lonely. And the thing with it was that I remembered it as a friends to lovers. And then when I went back to look at it, I was like, oh, hang on. First off, they don't really know each other very well at the start, and they hate each other. Then they kind of, right. Yeah, I'll go into like what the
Yeah.
setup is. But it was that thing of that's how I remembered it. But then I actually looked at it and it was like, oh, there's a lot more of a journey. So it's kind of
Mm.
like with your one. So Ashley is one of the women, the human women that's been given her farm on the planet. And but she is hearing impaired and she doesn't have hearing aids because obviously when she was abducted, they took everything from her, and she has learned not to let people know that she can't hear because if you were seen as flawed, they would just ding you in the bin.
Mm.
Like the people who captured her and were using her. Now she's safe, but she doesn't, like a lot of the women there, they don't know that they're safe. They're still at the mercy of aliens and their kindness. And, so she leans into pretending that she's a bit inattentive or that she's just a bit, like a bit ditzy or not, she finds that people will get cross at her, but at least she's not seen as vulnerable. So she leans into that, and that means that a lot of things tend to go wrong on her farm
Mm.
because they're trying to explain to her the technology and she can't necessarily hear them because these are people speaking English or I forget how they do the connection in terms of language. Is there universal language? Do they have things
Yeah, I
like
think there's
an
various, but they all
implant or
usually
what
have
is it?
like implants, don't they, for
Yeah,
translation?
something like that. but it's still heavily accented, so it's difficult for her to understand, even when she's looking at people if they have a particularly strong accent. Um, and who is it? Kex, I think. Is that his name? Let me see. Kex, yes. He's one of like the patrol guards, and she asks for him when there's like a fire and stuff. And he's like, why? Last time we were like having a screaming match, last time I had to go there. And it's because he's loud. He's louder
Mm.
than the others. So she asks for him. And he thinks he's really annoyed at her because she just doesn't seem to be taking anything seriously. And she keeps creating damage and things like this and calling people out. And he's like, yeah, he is not very sympathetic. And some of the other guys are like, one of the other ones that's all paired up already is telling him be a bit more empathetic. Sometimes their trauma can show in different ways. So he was like, oh, okay, I'll go find her and I'll be a bit more, I'll be a bit more aware of the fact that this might be affecting her. But he cottons on. He finds her in the general store, and there are these Praxians who are like making lewd comments, and she's paying no attention to it whatsoever. And he figures it out. He's like, ah, yeah, you can't hear properly. Um, and when he approaches her about it, she's like, oh, fine. What do you want,
Yeah,
to
for your
to
silence.
yeah, for your silence? And he's like, nothing, but go on a date with me so I can show them that you're not up for grabs, because we know what the Praxians do when they like someone. They come they come and leave a gift on the doorstep
Yeah.
like cats
Oh,
do, don't they?
they do
But
indeed.
not like that necessarily. Um, so he takes her out. So they call it dates, but they're not really dates, and they're very upfront about the fact that it's like company and for friends, and him understanding what is more suitable environments. And they get to know each other, and he's really silly, and they so it goes from kind of enemies to friends to lovers. And then for a Ruby Dixon as well, it's like it's a very slow burn
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
Ruby Dixon. And that got me thinking about like how it how you handle the friends to lovers can really affect like how long are you going to wait? Some of them are
Yeah.
like they will drag that out through like the whole book of
Mm.
yearning and figuring things out. And then others like the last one I talked about, it was a bit quicker, but they're like, oh no, but we can just be friends with benefits and then we'll go our separate ways, and they fool themselves into thinking that, don't
Really?
they?
Of
So
course they do.
yeah, that's why I had to mention that one. But
Yes.
it's yeah, just read those ones because they're cool anyway.
Yeah, they are fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you mention it, my brain's going, okay, which one is that? Is that the one where he's spiked on all the drugs and he's just round the door every 5 minutes, just leaving an entire
Oh, that I
bedday? Or
love
did
that. That
that
was
one?
yeah.
Yeah, the two
I don't
Praxian brothers.
remember a lot of their names
No,
and
I remember
what,
bits like
but
the
yeah,
Ruby gets all
it's
the
the
biscuits.
newly plant or
All the
something, and she's
newly things.
growing a whole field of it, and he's gone, and he's just covered, and he's just yeah got a
Yeah.
perm. It's like
I
being fed
yeah.
Viagra on a drip, isn't it?
Yeah. And she sort of ties his hands together because she thinks he's breaking
Yeah,
in. Love
very
it.
just of all the things to turn up, just a guy that's perpetually got the horn. Yeah.
Bless
But
him.
she's done another one which I could have read, which is the Only the Clonely one. That's a Friends to Lovers, I
Yes, that's a newer
think.
one, isn't it? Yes,
Yeah. Have you read
yeah,
that
I've
one
not,
yet?
no, not yet. It's on
No.
my list.
That's on my
I
list
think
for after. Yeah.
that keeps getting bigger too.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Do you want me to do my second if you have two left?
Well, I could do very briefly the next one if you want. Like, because
Can do.
again, it's an Alini Singh one from the
Okay.
Psy
Oh,
Changeling
oh.
series.
Was
So
it?
again, it was
Oh,
like I had to like just put them together.
see,
Have you picked one?
no, no, I didn't. But
Okay.
Hearts of Obsidian is up there as one of my favorite friends to lovers with Caleb and Sahara. Just,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that being a
yeah,
friends
that
to
was first
lovers.
in my head, and I'm like, we've done it already.
Yeah,
Can't
I
talk about
know.
it again. No,
Yeah.
far away.
Okay. So this is Shards of Hope, which is Aiden and Zara or Zyra, however you say her name. So he's the head of the Arrows, isn't he? And
Oh
it
yes.
comes two books after Part of Obsidian. So everything's like changing and stuff.
Mm.
But this one, it just starts and it just pulls you straight in because they've been abducted, the pair of them, and they've had like implants put in their heads so that they can't access the Psynet. So silence isn't available to them. And I just found this one a really interesting friends to lovers one because the whole setup of silence and everything meant in the same way that there couldn't be like they don't consider relationships on that level. It's like that the arrows have always had this bond, haven't they? Of
Mm.
like, but they've been friends, but not called it friends, and they would all
Yeah.
die for each other, and
Yeah, they're like
and
lethal assassins,
Aiden
but
in
yeah,
particular has always had this like difference, and he's always seemed to edge out of silence anyway, hasn't he? But um, because they're placed in this situation straight away and they have to get out of it. Obviously, they're arrows. So they manage to overcome the people
of
without
course they do.
anything and having had head surgery and been injured. And then they can run off through the mountains or whatever it is and perform surgery on themselves and things like that, 'cause it's
As you
just
do.
their arrows. But I loved the setup in that it showed how intense the relationship was between them anyway. Because Zara's like, she it's kind of similar to my first one as well in that she's kind of possessive over him and she knows she's kind of got this possess he's the only person that she really really trusts to like a crazy extent, and she knows he will never leave her behind. So they're both like kind of one up in each other on I'm not going to leave you, I'm not going to leave you. And it just the beginning pulls you in because it's just really exciting, and but it's also showing you that they've got this bond which is definitely not just like a commander and a soldier kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it's always been that way. And then they get to a changeling place to kind of hole up and recover, but they still don't have silence because of these implants causing damage and stuff. And they need to find a way to comfort themselves and get back on a level. And it's just, it's the Leany Singh and it's just awesome.
Incredibly
So,
done. Oh.
yeah, it's a very, very cool one. They're all cool,
See,
but yeah.
yeah, I've not read them for such a long time, and now my brain's like, oh, Slave to Sensations #1. It's behind me.
Yeah, I feel like we should have like a separate podcast where we just go through all of them.
Seriously,
Just,
we could
just
we
do
could do like the Fated Mates. The
one
Fated
or
Mates started
yeah,
with the Immortals After
that's
Dark. We're just
it.
like, okay, we're doing
Yeah,
all of the
I feel like
Wisdom.
we could totally do that
We
because we
could,
just
yes.
read.
I
You'd read one in
changing.
a weekend, wouldn't affect any of the
Yeah,
other
no,
reading.
at all.
Yeah.
Oh God. Season 15. Thanks for staying with us. Okay.
Right, I'll
So
let you
my
speak
first
now.
mention, yeah, that's fine. My first mention is I was going to message you about this just because of what it is. It's called Zero Fox Given by Rhea Fox.
Love it, love it.
What does the fox say?
Oh,
And
awesome.
this is a different one again in the fact that they were friends as children and then they were separated at adolescence and then they came back
Oh, yeah.
together.
Hmm.
So it shows a nice way of how that being so young it can stick and they kind of fall back into it quite quickly
Yeah.
after they acknowledge
Hmm.
each other. So we have Fitzgerald. He is the owner of a distillery which is not doing great at the minute. It was passed down from his grandfather, and everything was done previously on handshakes and, no contracts, no anything. And his grandfather is quite old school with things. So Fitz being down in the dumps with this thing and getting nowhere and borderline like bankrupt, he's kind of going, all right, we'll do weddings, we'll have tasting sessions, we'll do this, we'll do that. And Granddad is just like not happy with how this has gone. But Fitz has reached out to a marketing company to bring people in to try and start this wedding business up. Excuse me, because a lot of people, so they're in Scotland. A lot of people within the community work within this place. So there's rooms, so a hotel. So he'll have people who are distillers. He'll have people in the restaurant. He'll have servers. He'll have like maids and everything. So this distillery is a massive part of the community.
Mm.
And he has sent Madeline, who's been working at this place for a little while, and she is fantastic and phenomenal at what she does. So I will give some triggers, which I was going to do at the beginning and totally forgot. There are quite a few triggers for things that we haven't really ever mentioned before. There's a lot of ableist conversations, a lot of conversations and language regarding neuro functioning and bits and pieces linked to that. So just check all your triggers. The author has put
Mhm.
a lot in the front of the book and explains them all. So Maddie has ADHD. So she met a few friends at school at uni who are all, she calls them the neurospicy group, who
Okay.
all have bits and pieces that made them different from the other kids at uni, and they
Yeah.
all kind of found each other. So with some of her ADHD tendencies, she can be hyperfixated on things. So she's fantastic at pulling out these details, and she goes to market for fits. So they she turns up, and she knows him and he knows her, but the way they kind of parted ways as kids is quite relevant. So Maddie's dad worked within this village where the distillery was, and he lost his job, so they had to leave. Um, he was married, but his wife didn't stay around when they found out about how Maddie was, and her mum just couldn't cope with her ups
Mm.
and downs and all of the bits that went with it. But dad stayed around. So with just one wage, he couldn't stay in this village. He had to move to a bigger town to get more money involved. When she left, her and Fitz were kind of at the stage where they were getting a little bit more romantic in their feels together, and
Mhm.
they shared a kiss and things, and then she went. Um, and Fitz, however, so Fitz is the fox in question. Um, he 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 contracted rabies,
Oh
um,
no.
which kind of left him basically. He was put into an induced coma because of
Mhm.
this. Because I don't know loads about it, but yeah, so he had to basically relearn to walk, relearn to talk, feed himself, just do everything. It was like starting afresh.
Mm.
Because of this, it has left him with quite a lot of physical impairment. So he does have a cane to walk, and he is also a wheelchair user at certain times when things get a bit
Mhm.
too much for him. But when he was kind of coming out of this coma and trying to become himself again, he looked for his friend who wasn't there, and he tried to write to her because he got an address from somebody, and he
Mhm.
sent like 6 or 7 letters, and none of them were ever answered.
Oh,
So
unanswered letters.
I know it broke my heart.
See, you say you think it's a tragic thing, the friends to lovers. That's because you like the tragic
Yeah, I
things.
like the
You go
tragedy.
find the tragic
Tragedy.
things. Yeah.
When the feeling's gone and you can't go on. Anyway,
Yes.
so yeah, they've grown up. Exactly. And yeah, when they're set to meet, both of them are obviously in this limbo. And she's like, oh God, I didn't know what was going on with him. And da 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 da. And I would love to have met him again. But, he kind of never tried anything, and life changes and
Oh.
da 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 da. And
Mhm.
he's like, well, I sent all these letters out and you obviously didn't notice, or it wasn't enough.
Why
What I
didn't the
thought we
letters
had.
get
Mm.
there?
So yeah, so they meet
Who's the
up.
evil person that hid the letters?
Oh, okay. So,
I won't go
well,
into
this is
it.
what
It's
I've said.
fine.
I've got to be careful with my language because
Okay.
Granddad is a
Hmm.
not nice man.
I see. I
Anyway, yeah.
see.
So they meet up and they go around the place, and neither of them acknowledges that they know the other because they're obviously like, okay, well, you obviously don't
Hmm.
want to do that. We'll just move along and chat about this and that and the other. Fine. Until they go back like into the distillery bit, and somebody's like, I know your face. You went to school with my brother. You were in the year above me. Because you must know her, Fitz. Do you know her?
Trust some random person.
Yeah, it was so funny. And he's like, you must have been in the same year at school. And he's like, no, I
Awkward.
was I was a little bit older than she was, I think. And she's like, yeah, you were in the year above me, mate. I know. And then it kind of does come out and they sit and chat
Yeah.
about it. And it's like, yeah, I was
Hmm.
this and that and the other. And it's mentioned quite early that, I sent my letters and I obviously just assumed
Oh,
you
okay.
didn't want to anymore. And she's like, letters? Okay. And 'cause her brain sometimes is like, did I get
Yeah,
letters?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Did I put them
so
down and just forget
yeah,
about them kind of thing?
yeah. But she's like, I don't think I did, but and they kind of move along, and she's fully on board opening this place up, and they go out to people and they get a wedding booking. Somebody's seen it, they want to come in, they're like, okay, we'll do this, but he's not sure it can last till their money runs out. He's been dipping into his own pockets. Banks won't give him any more money. Um, and he has a word with his grandfather, and his grandfather is not great. He's not keen on Maddie, never has been.
Mm.
Mm. And he's like, you know what? All right. I will give you the money on the proviso that the first wedding that happens at your place is yours.
Whoa. Okay.
That is what you'll get. You will marry a person, you'll marry a decent girl, you'll have the wedding, and I will give you the money to fund it until it's up on its feet. And Fitz is like, okay, well, where am I going to find her? Come on, dude. So that's it. He's hit a slump. Maddie comes back with a friend to take some pictures, and he tells her, he's like, I don't know, the wedding's coming, but yeah, I don't know if we'll make it that far. And she's like, well,
Mm.
marry me. Why not?
Nice. Just
We're
tie in a
friends.
little bit of
Yeah,
fake relationship there.
yeah, that's a little bit in there. Yeah, arranged marriage, but
Hmm.
between the two people. So yeah, that is the plan. So she's like, well, if things come with it, things come with it. We were friends, this was all good. And Fitz is
Love
like,
it. I love
oh,
it when
okay.
they start like that and it's just like, yeah, we'll do this. It's not a big deal.
Well,
Like,
yeah, there is
but
there is
clearly
a
it
moment
is.
of, yeah, of
Yeah.
course it's a massive deal. She's like, yeah, we'll do it for about a year. I'll live here, it'll be fine. And then when it's all up and running, we'll just go our separate ways. No, you
No,
won't.
you won't.
So yeah, that's where they are. They've got a wedding to plan, and then they're off to do it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I can see. That's awesome.
Granddad, just
We
granddad,
can induct him. He's an honorary dickhead
dickhead
dad.
dad.
Yeah, because he's like upper tier.
Yeah, GDD, grand dickhead
Hmm.
dad.
Grand dickhead dad. Love it.
So yeah, but it was
Oh,
fantastic, and there's a series of them, and they're just chef's
yeah.
kiss.
Nice. Okay, so my last one is Impractical Magic by Emily Grimoire. I think that might be a pen name. I don't know about you.
If it's not, that is
Hmm,
fantastic.
not sure about that one. So this one is probably more in, I don't know how we've managed to do it actually. We always seem to like manage to get
It'll be
some
all
kind
just
of
a
links
link.
between they're
Yeah,
like yeah, we're getting there. They're all like
his Smith.
they merge in. Because this one is more of what I would automatically think you could easily find friends to lovers in that it's small town kind of
Mm.
contemporary paranormal romance. Um, it's it's sold as like Gilmore Girls vibes. So if
Oh,
that's your
okay.
bag, oh my God, the autumn vibes in this book are just
Pumpkin
perfect.
pumpkin spice lattes.
Pumpkin everything, you know.
Mm.
There's literally pumpkins exploding in one scene of this.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, so you've got Scarlet, who is a witch who's left her hometown. She's not been back for like 10 years, or around that amount of time. Something went wrong with the magic at that time, and there was terrible fallout. She kind of feels responsible. She's got a very difficult relationship with her mother at like Gilmore Girls-ish type of thing. I loved that element of Gilmore Girls. What I have seen of it, like how it
Mm.
deals with the intergenerational sort of relationships and stuff. Um, but so she left, and I, the magic in this is really fun. It's got a very like Sabrina the Teenage Witch kind of
Oh,
vibe in that
nice.
it's quite kooky and like technicolor and like when you're boring like me and I read witch books I like I tried to make it kind of realistic I guess and have like a tie to something and not be like really big and showy because
You've
you've got
not
to
got like
hide it
sparkly,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
sparkly purple capes and stuff.
But this one like goes full in because they've made this really cool setup in that the town has witches and normal people living there. But if the normal people leave, they forget that there's magic. So the people in the town all know that there's magic and it's run by magic, and the witches are like kind of in charge of stuff. But if they leave within a few, like if they're away for like 2 to 3 days, they start to forget basically the people that are there and the magic that's there. So
I quite like the fact of coming back again and every time going, oh my God, a vampire.
I know,
Every time.
yeah. I don't know if there are vampires or not. I can't remember.
Well, in my
Um,
head.
but
Oh,
so she's called back by her mum or her sister. She's got two sisters, um, and they run like a hotel. And when she left, her and her friend Nate, who they'd grown up with together, they were gonna go on their first date the night that everything went wrong. They were gonna finally
mm.
move out of the friend zone, which is similar to yours, isn't
Hmm.
it? They were just moving out of the friend zone. But then she's gone, and there's been no contact between them or anything like that. And a a little bit unfair. She kind of expected him to come after her, but considering he forgets everything if he leaves, that's not really
Yeah,
viable.
that's not
So
gonna.
he couldn't really do
Yeah,
that.
technically, it's not his fault.
Yeah, she went, she didn't come back. But she comes back to help out with fixing this magical problem. Like, the magic's just going haywire, stuff's going wrong all over the shop. Like there's this bookshop and the books are like coming to life. She gets attacked by a squid from a book at one stage. Like
Huh?
every time she goes to do something, it feels like it goes wrong as well. So um, it's fun. You've got like a lot of funny banter between like the friends and the sisters and the mum and everything. And you get like that small town feel. They have town meetings and things like that. And this is the one I mentioned last week where they have a magician staying at the hotel, but he's actually a magician. Like he does magical tricks. And that like all the I think witches can only be women in this. They're all quite scathing about him, apart from one of the sisters who has made it kind of her thing in life to like travel and learn all different types of magic. And so she
Yeah.
kind of like, no, we've got to be respectful. She's like, she's this witch that can do awesome things. And she's watching him like pull a rabbit out of a hat, you know?
Pick a card, any card.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's fun. It's very
I like it.
cool.
Bless. Oh, all right, mine's going to be short and sweet. So,
Okay.
I found this one, and it's a novella, so it's probably hour and a half, 2 hour read, which is sometimes what you need, especially when
It
we
is.
we
Yeah.
talk for 17 hours.
Yeah.
This is Claimed by the Archangel by Vera Sky. And yeah,
Ah.
basically, these two are friends. She is kind of like a techie person. She's human who works in the place. Everybody lives. I can't remember what the name of the place is, but
Place
uh,
everyone lives
yeah,
somewhere.
it's like the town.
Yeah.
If I remembered all of the town names, we'd
I
never
know.
leave here, would we? And this
No.
was in Rigel 7, and this was in 17 Lane of this one. And
I wonder
yeah,
how many would overlap as well.
I
Like,
bet some sound so similar.
yeah.
Yeah. But he is Raphael and he is like a soldier. So he's an angel and he's a soldier. And they are fighting with the vampires. That's probably why vampires are in my head.
Hmm.
And there is an archangel who rules them all. And he unfortunately gets killed by a vampire. Now, the way that the next archangel ascends is by sort of this epic power chooses who it's going to be, and they pass out. So,
Oh, okay.
so Chloe is the human, and she's with her friend Raphael, and he just flumps on the floor. And it's like,
Wow.
Jesus, what the? So that's how they kind of know that the archangel's been killed,
Oh,
because
blimey.
the next one is
Hmm.
ascending.
Yeah.
So everything rushes around to make sure he's okay. She's kind of kept
Hmm.
out of the loop, wondering what's going on with her friend, and then he is taken, and he's then going to be crowned as the next archangel. And he's there on this big podium and he's looking for Chloe. And it's the same as all the other things. They're friends, but they both know the other one's attractive and they quite like them, but it's not got to that stage at any point. So he's looking out for her at this coronation sort of thing. And then she comes out and he gets the mine in his head. So now he's ascended, they are
Oh,
allowed fated mates. And yeah,
nice.
he's got her. And he's like, cool, you're coming with me. And she's
That's
like,
quite nice for a change, isn't it? For a
yeah,
fated
it
mate.
is.
I know you. You're,
You're mine.
I like you anyway.
But she's like, no, no, we can't.
Oh,
Because she's got, again, same as yours, a history of family. Her dad kind of upleft problems,
oh,
you
I
know, people
see.
leave me. And she's like, I'm not, I don't, this is the status quo. I'm happy. Everything works here. If you come up to that level, you're only in that
Oh.
place because of what the hell just happened to the last one. I
Mm-hmm.
can't watch you go as well. So
Oh.
she's kind of stepping back and
God,
doesn't
Jess,
want
where'd you
to.
find all these tragic ones? Oh my God.
It gets better. It's short. So, you know, they kind of work it out.
Yeah.
As with most things I read, there is an attack and he goes out to fight and he kind of he kills all the people because he's the archangel, of course he does. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, he's out fighting." So she has to go and find him
Oh,
afterwards. And it's like, "Okay,
yeah.
yeah. I'm strong, I'm
Mm.
brave, I'm big. Come on, I can do this. We can do this." And she's like, "Yeah, of course we can. Let's take all our clothes off."
Nice. Perfect.
So it has the plot, it has the story, it has the feels, it has the spice. It's all
This is
good.
it. So Eve, this is the beauty of trope season, isn't it? It's like even when you think the trope isn't for you,
Yeah,
there are
you
books
find the
within,
books.
you find them. They're there. They
Make
can
them
give
fit.
you that stuff. You just yes.
Like a
Exactly.
monster penis, you make it
Yeah.
fit.
That's from Cinderella, but that's not where our minds went straight away. Yeah. I think,
So yeah,
wow,
that's it. Are we all done?
that's cool.
There we
Yeah.
go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Mm.
well, this is where we have to discuss next week. And
I kind of feel like Friends to Lovers leans into our
yes.
trope of next week quite well because usually one corner of the love triangle is
Mm-hmm.
a friend.
Yes.
Sometimes, not always, but
No.
sometimes.
No, you can
Quite
see the friend there, and in the other corner is the
the interesting one.
yeah, the other one that comes in.
Usually. Sorry, we're going to be going into this with quite a lot of prejudice, aren't we?
Well, okay, so yeah, this is the thing. There will be more discussion about it next week because
Yeah.
I am of the why choose mind. I am more than
Hmm.
happy for three's a
Yeah.
fun time. So yeah, so oh yeah,
I
so,
this is
so are
it.
you. Mm,
I have leaned that way myself. It's like
mm,
Why Choose is not my go-to, but I read a fair few of them, and if I see that there is a heroine that's, or even a hero that's torn
yeah.
between a couple of people, you just think, well, all of you, all have fun.
It's what you know what? It is the British way. We don't like to disappoint. We don't want to upset anybody. So
Everyone gets a participation
yeah, you
sticker.
all get an award and a sticker.
That's it. There are no winners. It's all about
We
taking
all just
parts.
participate. Sports day will never look the same again.
No. Oh God.
But yeah, so join us for the love triangle next week.
Yes.
Yeah, in the meantime, find us on all the socials. We're
Uh-huh.
on the YouTubes, the Spotify's for Faces, and if you want to listen, we're there too.
Lovely. And if you have any recommendations, suggestions, strong feelings about what we've talked about,
Yeah,
come and tell us about them.
yeah.
Don't make us cry, preferably.
No, so
But yeah, but if you have a complaint, we would like to hear it. If we've pronounced something wrong, whatever.
or
That
all
happens quite a
right.
lot. All
We need
right.
balance,
Yeah.
balance with
Yeah.
everything.
Give us a gold sticker that time,
Oh,
That'd be nice.
mm,
Yes. Well, we shall see you next week. It will be an
indeed.
interesting one. Bye.